Throughout the ages, saints have illuminated the path to holiness with their words and lives, offering timeless wisdom rooted in faith and trust in God, love and charity toward others, and humility and simplicity in daily living. These virtues form the foundation of a life deeply united with God and fully surrendered to His will. Faith and trust in God inspire unwavering confidence in His providence, even amid trials. Love and charity compel us to see Christ in others, offering kindness and selflessness to a needy world. Humility and simplicity teach us to embrace our dependence on God and to find joy in living authentically, free from the distractions of pride or materialism. In this collection of quotes, the saints invite us to reflect on these core virtues, challenging and inspiring us to live more fully for God and others. Their words resonate as a beacon of light, encouraging us to seek a deeper relationship with the divine and walk in Christ's footsteps. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11 verse 1. This full version of the verse emphasizes that faith gives substance to our hopes and provides a firm foundation for believing in things we cannot yet perceive. It's about having a confident expectation in God's plan and believing in the eventual fulfillment of His promises. He who trusts in himself is lost. He who trusts in God can do all things. Saint Teresa of Avila. This powerful quote underscores the limitations of human reliance on oneself. True strength, according to Saint Teresa, comes from surrendering our will to God and acknowledging our dependence on His divine power. With God's grace, we can achieve things beyond our own capabilities. Faith is not the elimination of doubt, but confidence in God in spite of it. St. John Henry Newman. This quote acknowledges the reality of doubt in the spiritual journey. It emphasizes that faith is not about the absence of questions or uncertainties, but about maintaining trust in God even when doubts arise. True faith is about choosing to believe in God despite the challenges and uncertainties we may face. Trust in God and do what is right. Then you will see great things happen. Saint Teresa of Calcutta. This quote highlights the importance of action guided by faith. It emphasizes that true faith is not just a passive belief, it's about actively living out one's faith by doing what is right and just. When we align our actions with God's will, we can expect to witness remarkable things unfold in our lives and in the world around us. Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux. This quote addresses the inherent uncertainty of the future. It encourages us to find comfort and security in the fact that even though the future may be unknown, we can place our trust in a God whose character and love are unchanging and unwavering. Faith is not believing that God can, but knowing that God will. St. Augustine. This profound statement moves beyond mere belief in God's power to a deep conviction in God's faithfulness. It emphasizes that true faith is not just acknowledging that God is capable, but having the assurance that God will fulfill His promises and act in accordance with His loving plan. The greatest act of faith is to take the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. Saint Teresa of Avila. This quote encourages a proactive approach to faith. It emphasizes that true faith involves taking action, even when the full path ahead is unclear. It's about trusting in God's guidance and taking the first step in obedience, knowing that God will provide the strength and direction needed for each step along the way. Do not be afraid. I am with you always until the very end of the age. Jesus Christ. Matthew 28:20. While not explicitly from a saint, this foundational Christian belief provides unwavering assurance of God's constant presence and support. It offers comfort and strength in the face of any challenge or fear, reminding us that we are never alone. Faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of faith is to see what you believe. Saint Augustine. This highlights the essence of faith as an act of trust in the unseen, with the ultimate reward being the realization of that belief. It emphasizes that faith is not about blind acceptance, but about a deep trust that allows us to experience the fulfillment of God's promises. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. This encourages complete reliance on God's care and providence, freeing individuals from the burden of anxieties and worries. It reminds us that God deeply cares for us and invites us to surrender our anxieties to him, trusting that he will provide the necessary strength, guidance, and peace. Let go and let God. St. Ignatius of Loyola. This concise yet profound statement emphasizes the importance of relinquishing control and surrendering one's will to God. It encourages us to trust in God's plan and allow him to guide our lives, even when we may not fully understand his ways. In times of difficulty, trust in God. In times of joy, give thanks to God. St. Francis de Sales. This quote emphasizes the importance of maintaining a consistent relationship with God throughout all of life's circumstances. It encourages us to turn to God in times of need and to express gratitude for his blessings in times of joy. Faith is a gift from God, but it is also a response to God's grace. Catechism of the Catholic Church. This statement highlights the dual nature of faith. While faith is a gift freely given by God, it also requires a human response. It's about actively choosing to believe in God and to live in accordance with his will. Prayer is the soul's great breath, and just as we cannot live without natural breath, so neither can the soul live without prayer. Saint Teresa of Avila. While related to prayer, this quote emphasizes the connection between a strong prayer life and a deep relationship with God, which underpins true faith. Prayer is not just a request for things, but a means of deepening our communion with God and strengthening our trust in him. The Lord is always near to all who call upon his help with sincerity, true faith, sure hope, and perfect love. St. Ambrose. This quote highlights the importance of sincerity, true faith, and love in our relationship with God. It emphasizes that God is always present and ready to respond to those who call upon him with genuine faith and a sincere desire to deepen their relationship with him. Let us work as if success depends on us alone, but with the heartfelt convictions that we are doing nothing and God everything. Saint Ignatius of Loyola. This quote emphasizes the importance of diligent effort and hard work, while simultaneously acknowledging our complete dependence on God. It encourages us to work diligently and responsibly, but to do so with the humility and trust that ultimately it is God who brings about success. Faith is not the elimination of doubt, but trust in God beyond doubt. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, while not a saint, a prominent Christian theologian. This quote echoes St. John Henry Newman's point about the reality of doubt. It emphasizes that true faith is not about the absence of doubt, but about choosing to trust in God even when doubts arise. It's about maintaining a deep conviction in God's love and faithfulness despite any uncertainties. Faith is the key that unlocks the door to God's grace. St. Thomas Aquinas. This metaphor beautifully illustrates the importance of faith in accessing God's grace. Just as a key is necessary to open a door, faith is essential for opening our hearts and minds to receive the abundant grace and blessings that God desires to bestow upon us. The more we know of God, the more we shall love Him, and the more we love Him, the more we shall desire to please Him. St. Francis de Sales. This quote highlights the interconnectedness of knowledge, love, and obedience. As we deepen our understanding of God's character, love, and plan, our love for Him will naturally grow. And as our love for Him grows, we will naturally desire to live in a way that pleases Him. Faith is not a feeling, it is a decision. C.S. Lewis, while not a saint, a renowned Christian author. This quote emphasizes the active nature of faith. It's not just about passively accepting beliefs, but about making a conscious decision to trust in God and to live according to His will. It's about choosing to believe in God and to follow Him, even when it may be difficult or challenging.
Love is the beauty of the soul. St. Augustine. St. Augustine reveals the transformative nature of love. True love and charity beautify the soul, reflecting God's divine essence. Loving others selflessly is the ultimate fulfillment of our spiritual being. The proof of love is in works. Where love exists, it works great things, but when it ceases to act, it ceases to exist. St. Gregory the Great. St. Gregory the Great teaches that authentic love is demonstrated through action. Charity is not passive. It requires self-giving and tangible acts of kindness. Love without action loses its meaning and purpose. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Saint Teresa of Calcutta reminds us to prioritize love over judgment. True charity requires seeing others with compassion and understanding, focusing on their needs rather than their flaws. It is not how much we do, but how much love we put into what we do that counts. Saint Teresa of Calcutta. This quote emphasizes that the value of our actions lies not in their magnitude, but in the love with which they are done. Even small acts of kindness, performed with great love, have immense spiritual significance. The way to be truly happy is to do the will of God by giving charity to the neighbor and loving Him in the Lord. Saint Catherine of Siena. And Catherine of Siena teaches that true happiness is found in aligning our will with God's. Charity toward others is a manifestation of our love for God, as every act of love brings us closer to Him. Let us love, since that is what our hearts were made for. Saint Thérèse of Lisieux. Known as the Little Flower, Saint Thérèse encourages us to embrace love as our ultimate purpose. She believed that even small acts done with great love reflect our divine calling. To love God is something greater than to know Him. St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Thomas Aquinas highlights the primacy of love over intellectual knowledge. While understanding God is important, true intimacy with Him is achieved through the love and charity we extend to Him and to others. He who is filled with love is filled with God himself. St. John of the Cross. St. John of the Cross emphasizes the divine presence in acts of love. When we love selflessly, we allow God to dwell within us, transforming our hearts and lives into reflections of his divine nature. Extend your mercy towards others so that there can be no one in need whom you meet without helping. Saint Basil the Great. Saint Basil urges us to practice a mercy and charity toward everyone. He reminds us that love means taking responsibility for the well-being of others, reflecting God's boundless compassion. We cannot all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Saint Teresa of Calcutta. This quote reminds us that acts of love and charity do not have to be grand to be meaningful. The quality of love infused into our actions makes even the smallest gestures profoundly impactful. If you want God to hear your prayers, hear the voice of the poor. St. Thomas of Villanova. Known as the Father of the Poor, St. Thomas of Villanova teaches that our relationship with God is deepened when we show compassion and charity toward the less fortunate. Helping the needy reflects Christ's love in action. Accustom yourself continually to make many acts of love, for they enkindle and melt the soul. Saint Teresa of Avila. This quote underscores the transformative power of love. Saint Teresa encourages us to actively practice love in daily life as it refines our soul and draws us closer to God. There is no place for selfishness and no place for fear. Do not be afraid then when love makes demands. Do not be afraid when love requires sacrifice. St. John Paul II. Pope St. John Paul II reminds us that true love involves selflessness and sacrifice. Love's demands may challenge us, but they ultimately lead to greater spiritual growth and fulfillment. This quote underscores the transformative power of love. God loves each of us as if there were only one of us. St. Augustine. St. Augustine reveals the personal and infinite nature of God's love. When we reflect on how deeply we are loved, we are inspired to extend that same love and charity to others. Do not forget that true love sets no conditions. It does not calculate or complain, but simply loves. St. John Paul II. St. John Paul II reminds us that love is unconditional. True charity involves giving selflessly without expecting anything in return, mirroring Christ's sacrificial love for humanity. A soul enkindled with love is a gentle, meek, humble, and patient soul. St. John of the Cross. This quote describes how love transforms the soul. When we live in charity, our hearts become more Christ-like, filled with virtues that radiate peace and goodness to others.
The soul that is in love with God is a gentle, humble and patient soul. Saint John of the Cross. Saint John of the Cross emphasizes that a soul deeply connected with God naturally adopts humility, gentleness, and patience. These virtues reflect God's love and are the foundation of simplicity. A humble person does not seek to glorify themselves, but instead radiates God's presence through their actions and attitude. It is better to be childlike and humble than to be self-assured and presumptuous. Saint Thérèse of Lisieux. Saint Thérèse embraced the little way, a spirituality rooted in humility and simplicity. She believed that approaching God with childlike trust and dependence, free of pride or self-reliance, leads to a deeper and more intimate relationship with Him. Humility is the mother of all virtues, purity, charity, and obedience. It is in being humble that our love becomes real, devoted, and ardent. Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Mother Teresa teaches that humility is the foundation of all other virtues. Without humility, our actions may lack sincerity and depth. Simplicity flows from humility because it strips away the distractions of pride, enabling us to love God and others with a pure and selfless heart. There is nothing more humble than allowing God's will to unfold in you, even if it is hidden from the world. Saint Francis de Sales. Saint Francis de Sales reminds us that true humility lies in trusting God's plan for us, even if it doesn't bring worldly recognition. Simplicity means accepting our place in God's design and living faithfully without seeking validation from others. If you are humble, nothing will touch you, neither praise nor disgrace, because you know what you are. Saint Teresa of Avila. Humility gives us clarity and freedom from the opinions of others. Saint Teresa of Avila highlights that humility is rooted in self-awareness, knowing both our strengths and our limitations in light of God's grace. This perspective fosters simplicity as we focus on God rather than superficial concerns. Preach the gospel always. If necessary, use words. Saint Francis of Assisi. This famous quote reflects Saint Francis's profound simplicity and humility. Living a life of gospel values through actions rather than words demonstrates authentic humility. Simplicity in our daily lives is often the most powerful witness to Christ's love and teachings. Simplicity is nothing but an act of charity. It strips the soul of everything that is not God. Saint Vincent de Paul. Saint Vincent de Paul believed that simplicity involves letting go of materialism and self-interest to focus entirely on God and serving others. When we are simple in heart and intention, we allow God's love to flow freely through us. It was pride that changed angels into devils. It is humility that makes men as angels. Saint Augustine of Hippo. Saint Augustine saw pride as the root of evil, leading to spiritual downfall, while humility allows for a connection with God and a path towards spiritual growth. Humility does not mean denying your worth. It means recognizing that everything comes from God. Saint Edith Stein. Saint Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. Humility is not about thinking less of oneself, but acknowledging God as the source of all blessings. This mindset fosters gratitude and simplicity, freeing us from pride and the need to compare ourselves to others. Let us not tire of doing what is good. Humility and simplicity always bear fruit. Saint Catherine of Siena. Saint Catherine encourages perseverance in goodness, reminding us that humble and simple acts of kindness, no matter how small, have lasting value in God's eyes. True humility and simplicity are never wasted. They always contribute to building God's kingdom. Humility is to the virtues what the chain is to the rosary. Take away the chain, and the beads scatter. St. John Vianney. St. John Vianney illustrates the centrality of humility to the Christian life. Just as the chain holds the rosary together, humility binds and strengthens all virtues. Without humility, our virtues lack coherence and stability. Simplicity naturally follows, as humility leads us to focus solely on Jesus does not demand great actions from us, but simply surrender and gratitude. Saint Therese of Lisieux. Saint Therese emphasizes the little way, teaching us that humility lies in recognizing our dependence on God. Simplicity comes in approaching life with a heart full of gratitude, not trying to impress God with grand gestures, but living faithfully in small acts of love. Blessed is the servant who does not think himself better when he is praised and exalted by people than when he is considered worthless, simple, and despised. Saint Francis of Assisi. Saint Francis highlights that humility means finding your worth in God, not in human praise or criticism. Simplicity involves remaining steadfast and detached from the opinions of others, focusing on pleasing God alone. Humility. Humility. This is the virtue I wish you to have. The soul must either humble itself or be humbled. Saint Teresa of Avila. Saint Teresa stresses that humility is foundational to spiritual growth. It is better to willingly acknowledge our limitations and dependence on God than to be forced into humility through life's trials. Simplicity in life involves detaching ourselves from pride and self-sufficiency. Now is the time to take the wisdom of the saints and make it alive in your own heart and actions. Let their faith and trust in God inspire you to surrender your fears and place your hope in His providence. Let their love and charity ignite a fire within you to serve others selflessly, seeing Christ in every person you encounter. Let their humility and simplicity remind you that true greatness is found in a life lived for God, not for the world. The journey to holiness begins with small, intentional steps. Start today. Deepen your prayer life. Trust God in your challenges. Be generous in your love. Choose humility over pride. And like the saints, allow the light of Christ to shine through you, becoming a beacon of hope and grace for others. The call to sainthood is not reserved for the few, but for you. Will you answer? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe. Select the next video you see in the corner of the screen.